right. Hello. Hello. So here we are. We're live. We're about to start our discussion on the good place and the bad place. Uh yeah, just gonna do a let's just start with a recap of what we've already been talking about this year. Um so this year, yeah, we've already talked about wealth. That was a very interesting conversation talking about you know what the Bible means what the Bible means when it talks about us having wealth or people having wealth. What Christians, or the economic style principles that God expects of us to to have or inhabit, basically the philosophy behind what God wants us to inhabit in terms of the economic principles that we should be running. So we kind of read through all of that. Leviticus 25, very interesting, very difficult, um, very difficult statements about money, about wealth, about profits, about interest, about um, being in debt, freeing people of their debt, those sort of things. Very interesting. And the last two sessions, we've been talking about justice. And I think we can also actually go back to the justice conversation at some point in the future, um, because I don't is justice is very very big, very broad, something that something that's quite difficult to cover in very few sessions. It takes a lot of time to cover different aspects of it, especially in the style that we put it on, in terms of the scenario style way that we did. Um, so that's those things are very difficult to cover, but you know we're gonna we're gonna keep trying, and hopefully we'll look to later in the session we'll look to maybe bring one or two more sessions about justice, and just discussing the different facets around that, and playing out more scenarios as well. So yeah, last time we actually ended up last time talking about violence, seven in the countries having military, and you know at what cost you should take violence or not take violence at all.
Mm.
uh, Little did I know that a certain Mr. Smith would climb on stage on the Oscar and go slap somebody and dominate the news for the whole week, which was quite interesting. I
Mm.
actually, um, just to take an aside to about that, I actually found it quite revealing. I found it quite revealing just the way a lot of people kind of reacted to the whole thing, and in terms of you see our world in full flow in terms of every news media trying to profit off this situation, right? I There's a sports show that I listen to in the US. It's a US sports show. They talk about basketball, American football, those sort of things. They did four segments on Will Smith and Chris Rock. They're a sports show. They're a sports show. So, but every single person wanted to capitalize on the the money that can be generated from the hits, clickbait, and everything. I just found it quite sad. All of them with very silly opinions as well. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about. So we've done a bit of just recap of what we've been talking about, and we're here to talk about good place, bad place. I don't know if anybody watched the TV show The Good Place. Has anyone seen that TV show?
No, I haven't.
Anyone else? Jonathan, Tristan, have you guys seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. No.
Okay. All right. It is an interesting show on. I think it's on Netflix. It is not. It's on Netflix. It's a very interesting TV show. You get a lot of interesting things from it, but they, in the end, they have a very misguided view of heaven and hell. But whatever. But it's very interesting though. It's very interesting. Um. Okay. So basically, this kind of theme of good place, bad place kind of comes out of. I just used that the the TV show and as just a that's where you get this font for the good place, and I just cancelled it and put bad, but hey, whatever. Okay, so we are talking about. So we're going to focus on the bad place, which is hell for us as Christians, as people in Christianity. So I guess let's get the picture of hell, and what is I guess from everyone, uh what is your view, or what is your view of hell? How do you when you think about hell, or when someone says hell, what do you think about? What comes to your mind, essentially?
I mean, obviously, nothing good comes to mind, obviously, when you think of the word hell. And obviously, it's not a place that anybody really wants to go to. But there's also been just different discussions that I've had with friends and family and stuff. Like, I think the views are quite varied. And I had an interesting one, which was hell might not be the same for everybody. So,
Interesting.
like,
That's an
although
interesting view.
yeah, so in the sense of although they might be in the same place, so to speak, the pain in which they feel physically isn't necessarily the same.
Okay.
I've heard that as well, that it's tailored to whatever you dislike and fear that will
Yeah,
be tormenting you.
yeah,
What you fear? What
So
you
if you're
fear?
scared of like snakes and scrolly things, then they're always gonna be there. Or
it's
if
like
it's
always
spiders, then
kind
that's
of
what
thing.
you're
Yeah,
gonna have. Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of like what. So I thought that was quite like I'd never heard that one before. I was like, oh, okay, that's quite
Okay.
interesting. All right.
Okay. That's that's interesting. Okay. What who else? Any more more view, or like what is what is present in this version of hell that you have? What's present? What's present there? Or who is there? What is there? How does it look like? What is the climate of the place?
It's hot.
You're pushing for the hot and fire, mate.
And then
I'm just asking questions.
It's there's
fire.
screaming, constant screaming, and everyone is just in agony in hell. In my hell.
In your one, the way you.
Yeah.
The one she created.
Well, I was kind of like,
Maybe I was. Roberta.
My understanding of what it could be. It's just a bad place. Oh, and then there's Satan there as well. Let's not forget. Oh, and then there's demons and what is it? Yeah, demons and stuff.
Fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
And God is not there.
Oh, Aram's mic has gone out. We can't hear you.
We still can't hear you.
Yeah, it's in and out a bit because I think the cable.
okay, while Aries is sorting out his mic. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think people's versions of hell is very different, isn't it? Like, I mean, a lot of people
Yeah.
just think that it's a place that's completely just filled with red and stuff like that, where it's just dark and even like sometimes the
Yeah.
depictions that you might see in the movies as well.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Oh, and for
Because
some reason it's a pit as well, no? So it's
Yeah,
a space
a
that's
pit.
dug out inside the earth.
yeah. So
Oh
like,
yeah, go
yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah. Like something. It's almost like the notion of something like of like being thrown into.
Mm-hmm.
Oh right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
yeah. You know, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, cool. Okay. So yeah, I've been hearing your conversations on what hell is and everything, and that's quite cool. That's an interesting. So here's the thing, right? So here's the thing that, and this is why this topic is actually is not a topic that I like to do. Strangely enough, I don't really like or want to really do this topic because it's not the most fun. There's a lot of detail to it, but I think it's very important because for someone like me, I grew up in a time or in a place where people get scared. You're basically scared into Christianity, right? You're told about hell over and over again. You're preached, hell is preached over and over again to you, right? I mean, there's literally, it's impossible for us, if you've been in church for, how many years, it's almost impossible for you not to have heard hell preached. You understand? And it's very common. Now, but here's the thing though, is one of the very interesting. So, just to take the two topics areas that we've kind of discussed already this year. So, we started with wealth, and now we did justice. If you go into the Bible, if you go to like so this is just to show you the difficulty in discussing this topic of hell. If you go into the Bible and look at wealth, you see places from, like we did last time, Leviticus 25, a whole chapter, 42 or close to 50 verses in the chapter dedicated to talking about an economic principle of how people can be able to use to manage wealth and have wealth, and stop people from getting poor and all that whole thing. So a whole chapter focused on that. You can see similar things in Deuteronomy, in Exodus. You can see the book of Ruth, where that theme is, that part is like an underlying theme within it, to show the righteousness of Boaz, and just stuff like that littered, all over the Bible. Jesus, he's in his messages, Jesus preaching. If you look at a lot of Jesus's parables, he uses money, wealth, and poverty, those sort of themes in his parables and in his teachings. If we go to justice, we did this last time. The Bible is littered, filled with chapter after chapter after chapter after chapter about justice. In all the prophets have at least one or two chapters in their books talking about justice, and there are other books that talk about justice a lot as well. Now, when it comes to hell, which we've heard about more than I'm going to assume we've heard about the economic principles that God wanted his people to set up, and the way Bible talks about justice. When it comes to hell, there is not much there's not that much you can see in the Bible about hell. I know how strange that sounds, but there's not that much you can see in the Bible about hell. Now, here's the other thing that actually complicates things. Before you actually probably read the Bible for the first time, you already had an image of view of what hell was like, or everybody had like a picture of hell, because hell is so much part of the way we talk about Bible and Christianity and the afterlife and all those sort of things. Hell is so important and right in the middle of that. But that view and that picture, when you take that, then you go open your Bible maybe for the first time, or how many times you go, and this is a problem with that. You can only, I don't like to do this, but it's a problem you can only blame the translators for. So when you go into your Bible and you open it and you see the word hell written in there, it just basically goes back, connects to the image and the view you already have of hell. So what it is you already think and feel of hell and view, when you go into the Bible and you read the word hell and you read Jesus saying hell, you're like, oh my God, you know, it brings everything in together one full circle. But this is the problem that I want us to also kind of get through to tonight, is that when you the hell that you the problem that a lot of people don't know is that the hell that you're thinking of and the hell that is the thing that is translated to hell, which Jesus says, are two different things, very, very, very far apart. And there's a history behind how we've got to this place that you don't necessarily get in the Bible. So the hell that we have, a lot of things have gone into it, and sometimes it's always hard to know like where one starts and where one ends. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna try to do a lot of things to piece together how we've got the hell that we've got, and try to see together how um the Bible talks about hell. And here's the other part as well. The Bible doesn't talk about there are so many different pieces that go together, and all of it as well as combined to form the hell that we know. So we'll just kind of go through all that together. Okay? Everybody cool?
Cool, cool.
Cool.
All right. So first things first, let's just put a picture together of our hell and some of the facets to it. So this is what I've got. This is what I came up with, and we're gonna try to well see these pieces. So just tell me if I've missed anything out, or let me know if
Snakes.
Yeah.
You've not got the snakes.
snakes. Yeah, okay. Maybe we can get to let's leave the snakes on that. Should we leave it on that torture? Oh, here.
Okay.
Torture.
Yeah. Yeah. That
put
works.
snakes. I'm guessing you're scared of snakes. I just get that feeling you're scared of snakes. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Boom. Put the snakes here. Anything else?
Darkness.
Okay. Darkness. Okay. Interesting. Darkness. Darkness. Okay. So we'll put darkness with fire, for strangely enough. Okay, we'll
I
see.
was thinking, like, how does darkness and fire work?
Exactly. 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 Exactly.
No, the
That's a
fire,
very good.
the fire is like a lamp. You know, it's been set, so it's just burning some here, there, and the patches of the darkness. That's how I picture it. Initially.
Okay.
That was my childhood interpretation.
Is there anything that's on here that shouldn't be on here?
Is the one that is the sticker that says depth deep down there? Is that supposed to be like a representation of like a pit or something?
Yeah. So that's like, when people location. So let's say location. Where is hell? Where's hell location wise?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Right? And anybody has a different location for hell?
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
Oh no, sorry, I misheard your question.
All right, okay. So yeah, that's looking at hell from a location standpoint. I think from a climate standpoint, let me just pull hot or heat. Let's pull hot. Or does anyone think hell is cold? So we can do that.
It might as well be.
Okay. So we got quite a lot to get through today. So okay. So let's just start piecing together all these things, and then we'll try and see, we'll come out with a picture of hell. All right. I've never seen this TV show called Lucifer, but it's always getting advertised. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but yeah.
Heard of it, never watched it though.
Yeah, I just can't bring myself to watch a show called Lucifer.
Apparently it's good. Apparently it's good though.
Yeah, so I've heard. It's just like, it's called Lucifer. It's just hard to watch a show called Lucifer. Okay, cool. All right. So here's the thing. So biblically speaking, from a biblical standpoint, there is no mention the first thing that we come into the Bible that is translated to hell. So we're going to look at 4 things that are translated to hell, and all of them bring different pieces to hell. So we'll come back to this page. So the first part of things that we see translated to hell is this word called Sheol. All right, Sheol. No, not there. Sorry, I think I've misplaced. Yeah, so it's this word called Sheol. You see it appear so many places in the Bible. Sheol is actually just a place of, everybody goes to Sheol. So it's a place of the dead. So we see it right from wait, hang on. So again, we have to remember that we are, a lot of what's happening in the Bible and all the influences that come there are essentially from a Jewish culture, ancient Jewish culture. And one of the things that we see is this word Sheol. Now, a lot of Bibles have translated it to say hell, but the word doesn't actually mean hell in their thoughts or at this point in time. So when you're reading in Genesis, this word means grave or just the place of the dead. Everybody goes to Sheol, right? So you're I don't know who is I'm not a judge, I guess. I don't know who is good or who's bad. But let's say David, in these thoughts, David, Jacob, Abraham, all these guys will go to Sheol. Same with Goliath and Ahab and who else is there? Who else is bad? Jezebel, Jezebel was bad, right? She too will go to Sheol. That's in this line of thinking. And if we see in one of the Psalms, let me just find one of the Psalms for you. So there is a Psalm that where David says, the psalmist says, even when I make my bed in the depths of Sheol or in hell, which it has been translated to, you are there. So he's basically saying that, he's basically representing that even God is not absent in Sheol. Do you understand? Do you guys, are you guys following me? Let me just
Yes,
find it.
but here's the thing, right?
Go on.
Because even if it is grave, is God in the grave?
Well, that's the thing that you're gonna have. So if I ascend up into the heaven, thou art with me. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. So this word here is Sheol, not hell. So this is the word translated to mean. So in your mind, you're thinking hell, right? But the word
No, but
actually
even
there
if
is
I'm thinking
yeah.
grave,
Go on. So it's
no,
just like the
okay, so
place of is a place of the dead. Everybody goes there when they die. So it's not a place of punishment or a place of torture or anything. It's a place of, everybody goes there when they die. Sheol. So that's all that it is. And from their thinking, so we're trying to, this is the way they thought about this place at the time. From their thinking, God is not absent there. Do you understand? So it wasn't a place, in your view of, in the view that people have of hell, God is God present or absent there?
God is absent.
In Sheol, the writer of this psalm is saying, even if they make their bed in Sheol, God is still there with them.
Okay.
Right? So it's not yeah.
So basically, it's not the way they've translated it. They've used one uniform word, hell, for
Yes.
like something like that, but it's not what they would have meant. They meant Sheol, which is a place of the
Yeah,
dead.
so they've translated it to mean hell,
Right,
but
right.
in terms of the Jewish, the way the Jews at this point, ancient Jewish culture was thinking about hell, this was not a place for punishment. So the thing is, like, our view of the word hell has been influenced by a lot of things. So if you then use that word and put it onto Sheol, you put it matching two things that don't match together, right? So a lot of newer Bibles these days just don't translate the word; they just say Sheol. They don't say hell. They just say a lot of the newer translations will just say Sheol. Yeah, right. So they just leave that word untranslated so that you can, and I think it's probably a good way to do it so that people can go and investigate and see what that word means. So even if I ascend it up into the heavens that were there, if I make my bed in Sheol or in hell, this is King James, that's why it's showing as hell. I think a lot of the other, but let me see what other Bibles have translated this to look.
Okay.
So New Living Translation, I've gone with grave. NIV, I've said, if I make my bed in the depths, you are there. ESV they've left it as Sheol. CSV left it as Sheol as well. This Spanish version has left it as Sheol, even in theirs. NASB. So this is more modern translations they've left, but a lot of us are influenced by King James, and they have left. They've used hell. Even in the New King James, they're still using hell, which makes zero sense. New Living Translation, they've gone with grave, but they've put a note to tell you that it is Sheol. So it's very. So this is what newer translations, they are always trying to work out all these things, right? So this is the influence that these have. So it's used a lot of places in the in the Old Testament. So even one of David's last words. Let me see if we can find that. So one of David's last words in Second Kings. So if we go to First Kings, I think. So this is this is one of David's last words to his son Solomon. So he's essentially telling he gives Solomon his kind of the list of people that Solomon should take care of. So he basically says, well, there's this guy. So he's basically telling bring the guy's head down to. So the same King James have translated this to the same word to grave. So bring his head down to the grave with blood.
All right.
Yeah. These guys are consistent using the word Sheol. So bring his head down with blood to Sheol. So let's make sure he comes to, if he comes to Sheol, he's gonna go to Sheol, but make sure he's going to Sheol with blood, he's killed, he doesn't die a peaceful death, that kind of thing. So bring his gray hair down to Sheol with blood. So it's a place of death. Everybody goes there. Now, okay. So are we all on the same page there on that one?
So far, I am, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, cool. Okay. So that's how we have Sheol. Now, here's the other part of things. When the Bible is translated into Greek, and when the Bible is translated to Greek, they use this word Hades. Hades also means the same thing in Greek, in the Greek world, the place of the dead. We would come back to see this word again, the place of the dead. And when this place is talked about in the New Testament, or when the equivalent of Sheol is being talked about in the New Testament, they use Hades as well. All right. So again, that's all Hades is, a place of the dead. Now here's the thing. I just want to go back and do like a bit of a timeline. Up to a certain point in Jewish thoughts, they didn't really bother and think much about the afterlife. And here's the thing. A big part of the Bible, most of the Bible, is not really bothered about the afterlife. Bible is bothered about Genesis 1, Revelations 21. God creates a good world. Humans, everything is good. This is good, that is good, everything is good. Humans mess it up. God comes up with a plan. And in Revelations 21, we see new creation coming back to life. Right? The whole world is recreated, heaven and earth go back together. We've talked about this. That is the story the Bible is more concerned about. So we see this progression throughout Jewish history where they are more concerned about what happens here right? Not what happens when you die. Now, the first place in the Bible where they talk about the afterlife is in the book of Daniel. So just gonna go there now. Daniel, Daniel chapter 12. So this is the very first place in the Bible where we talk about life after death or something happening to someone after death. So just look at this, Daniel 12. At that time, Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise. There will be a time of distress, such as has not happened from the beginning of nations unto then. But at that time, your people, everyone whose name is found written in the book, will be delivered. The multitudes who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of heavens, and those who lead many to righteous legs like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, roll up and seal the words of this scroll until the end, until the time of the end. Many will go here and there to increase knowledge. So this is kind of the place, the genesis of the place where we start getting things like the book of have your name written in the book of life or the book of death. That's whole thing. All that the genesis of that is essentially from the book of Daniel. This is the first place. Now Daniel is like an apocalyptic book, trying to give you a revelation of a time that has not yet happened or come. Now, one of the things that we should know is that one of the things this place things start to progress on about that whole life of life after death and people talking about that. One of the reasons that causes this to happen is that there are a lot of books in the Bible kind of dealing with this issue of what we call theodicy. So we've kind of talked a little bit about this when we talked about the book of Job, right? So people are dying, good people are dying, right?
Mhm.
Having suffered and not gotten any reward for their righteousness and their stand on justice, while a lot of evil people have enjoyed this life and they die peacefully. And a lot of people are looking at this going, this doesn't make any sense. You guys can understand that, right? Because I mean, even into our day, you see a lot of people who are really evil people, cause a lot of problems and pain, and they die peacefully. Nothing happens to them. While people who have stood on justice and righteousness, they live a short life, they live a painful existence, and they die, and nothing happens. So that kind of gave a rise to this whole thinking, and people grab onto these things. Okay, there'll be some sort of reckoning for the good and the bad in the afterlife. All right, everybody with me? Make sense so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where that begins to take hold. Okay, now the next thing that I want us to do, just before we go any further, we've put kind of two pieces together. We've kind of looked at uh yeah, we've kind of looked. Okay, sorry. The other thing is, let's talk about location down there. Sheol is grave, place of the dead, is down. When you somebody dies, dig the ground, put the person in. In the same thing with Hades. So that's where we get that whole quality of hell of being down there. That's come from that Sheol as well. Being down, you put the person in the ground. So the idea of the place of the dead becomes a place in the ground, inside the earth, where the people will go. Okay, so these people are not thinking about your soul and all those things at that point. So that starts developing after Daniel 12 and all the experiences that people are seeing. You talk about that during Daniel is written during a time of where the Israelites are in or at least that Daniel existed. His existence is during the time when they are in exile in Babylon. So we've talked about how we get to the point of down there and all that. Now we want to talk about this one, Lucifer, the devil, Satan. So let me just get you what is you guys' view on the devil, Lucifer, Satan? The idea is that the devil runs hell or is in hell? What is your idea of devil, Satan, Lucifer? Are they the same person? Do they run hell? What is the view, contemporary view, your view? What is it?
I'll start then.
Go on.
For me, I've come to learn that Lucifer was the fallen angel who he was up in heaven, and I guess he was like the leader of the praise and worship. And he said he wanted to be like God, I think, I don't know.
Okay.
And then God was like, right, you're gonna go out of heaven, and then I'm gonna give you those other people who were following your views are gonna go with you. So those are like the demons or whatever, those angels. And then the devil, no, is it Satan? Satan is like opposer or something like that. Like the word I believe we said like a while ago, like means opposer. So before I used to see them as like the same person, but I think like from that understanding, like the Satan can be anything that is like opposes thingy, because I also remember like Jesus said, "Get behind me, Satan," or something to one of the disciples. The devil, I still personally associate it with Lucifer, just for the sake of like from the story of Job, when we get the idea of Job, the devil speaking with God, like, right,
Okay.
what am I doing?
So,
I don't know.
so do you
The Satan? Sorry,
the devil, Lucifer, Satan? Is that the same
I don't
person?
know.
Different people? To you. Well, if I say Lucifer, is that interchangeable with Satan? Is that interchangeable with the devil? Or is there any other name that I should have on here as well?
Oh, right. I say no, it's not interchangeable. But I say Lucifer is attributed to this bad person, this bad angel, sorry.
Okay. But Lucifer is different from Satan.
Oh, sorry, no, they are interchangeable.
Okay, right. Cool. Anyone else?
I always thought that the devil, Lucifer, and Satan were synonyms for one another.
Okay.
Fallen angel, spirit of darkness, spirit of evil,
right.
the opposite of God, opposite of truth, the king of deceit, master of deception.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
That's my contribution.
Anyone else?
So I think they're interchangeable as well.
Okay.
The enemy, I think, is another one that needs to be up there as a general term. Yeah.
Okay. So
I think he's thrown into hell. So, sorry, just in relation to hell, he's not ruling in hell. He's a part of the, I guess, a victim of hell.
He's victim of hell. So he's part of the Okay, who says Satan is he victim, ruler? Is he running? Is he in torture? What is Satan doing there?
Oh, he's been tortured.
You guys say tortures. Okay. All right, cool. Now, let me ask you guys a question then.
I think
you guys
Ben was going to say
Before you ask a question.
Oh, sorry, Zed. Sorry.
Before you ask a question, I thought I think I might have heard actually on Unplugged. Isn't Satan like a title kind of thing?
We're gonna come to that. We're gonna come to that in a minute.
That sounds trying.
And then isn't Lucifer the name that was used before he fell?
Okay.
And then
I don't. We're gonna come to it, but just tell me your thoughts. What you see. Just tell me your thoughts, and then we'll come to.
I mean, I think that's my thoughts as well, though.
Okay.
From what I understand, like, and then so like, isn't Lucifer the name before he fell? Satan the title, and then
that's fine. Cool. Sorry, I hope I didn't cut you off.
No, that was it really, and I was just gonna say devil is normally what people refer to because that's kind of what they use to kind of say evil. So,
yeah. Okay, cool. Now, the question I'm gonna ask is, does anyone have a Bible verse or a place in the Bible where they can find any of this stuff to like go with what you're saying in terms of, Satan thrown out of heaven, all those things? Where do you know where you can find those things in the Bible?
Google.
Google. Okay. No, now Satan as well is also another tricky topic on a very widely debated topic as well. So just to put it into our hell theology, we just need to figure out what part and what place Satan is playing in there, and then we just go into that. So there are random. There is no concrete definition, as we can say, of a particular thing or definition. There's no place in the Bible where you say, okay, this is the definition of Satan and what God defines as Satan or stuff like that. There are always troubling offshoots of evil, all different places in the Bible. So here's one. Here we'll start. So when we go through the Bible, when we get to the book of Job, this is the important one. The word there is, so it's this is where things are confusing. So let me just put a page. Put a different page. So it's okay. So the word Satan is just a Hebrew word that's not been translated. That's essentially all that it is. Is a Hebrew word that's not been translated. Now, in Job and some places before that, the word of Job is the first place you come across Satan. The word that you're seeing there is Ha Satan. So it's the Satan, which is kind of like a title, as you were saying. Is a title, is a role, like a prosecutor in the court. So it's like saying the prosecutor. So when we read in Job, we say the sons of the host of heaven is gathered, and in their midst there was someone called Satan that was also gathered, right? So that person, that Satan in that one is Ha Satan, Hebrew. The Satan is like a prosecutor. So in the Catholic Church, they have something called devil's advocate. I don't know if anyone's we've all heard about it. We've talked about it on here a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
The devil's advocate is actually a job. So if, for example, they want to make someone a saint, so let's say we want to make Roberta a saint, right? So they will put that case in front of the Catholic Church and all the people, the host of the people in the Catholic Church, people that have the opportunity, they have their power to say this person will now become Roberta, will now become Saint Roberta from today, right? Now, when they put that case out, they will have a devil's advocate there who comes out and say, well, there's no need to make Roberta a saint because, on so date, she did this, that was really terrible. She did this, that was bad. She did this, she did this, she did that, right? So that's that person's job. The person will investigate and bring forward evidence that this person should not be made a saint. That's kind of similar to this role that we see in the book of Job. When you see Satan, when you see Satan, it's just left as Satan in your Bible. Is essentially a prosecutor who is fulfilling this role. So God's like, oh, have you seen my son, my guy Job? He saw this, he saw that. The person comes, well, if the reason he worship you is because he's so rich, he has this, he has this. So that's that role there. It's like a job, is a job title, right? Not a person or a character per se. Right? Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, here's the thing. As the Bible continues to go, and by the time we get to the New Testament, in Jewish life and in Jewish history, they had become a character called Satan that was responsible for evil. And that's the thing that makes it confusing. So we can also see this in I'm having a bad cough, sorry. So we can also see this. So let me just say. So we see Jesus talking about this. Get behind me, Satan, he said. Okay, sorry. There's another thing here is that there isn't consistent. There's so many different names for Satan as well. So the things that are being translated or being called Satan are also multiple things. So if we look, let's look at this one in the book of Mark. Okay. Okay. So the teachers of the law, kind of the prophet, I mean the Pharisees and those guys, they are basically saying that Jesus is doing miracles through the powers of Beelzebub. So Beelzebub is some kind of evil god of that time, responsible for evil. And then in the response, Jesus says, how can Satan drive out Satan? So essentially, what they've done is like they've put all the different versions of your Beelzebubs, Diablos, and all those evil, they've put them under the category of Satan. So there isn't a consistent figure that is Satan, right? There are so many different gods of evil that are put under the category of Satan. Are you guys with me on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are so many different versions under the category of Satan. So here they're not talking of a generic Satan. They're actually accusing Jesus of being Beelzebub. And in the translation is saying, how can Satan drive out Satan? If a kingdom is against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. So Jesus is saying, if I'm using the power of Satan to cast out demons, how can that even work? You understand? So there is that. Okay. Now, so that's the Satan angle to this whole thing. We'll come back to this just a little bit. Let's look at the Lucifer part of things. Okay. Now, Lucifer is also this is actually quite difficult. Lucifer is actually not mentioned in the Bible. Lucifer is and isn't mentioned in the Bible, depending on which translation of the Bible you're reading. But in the actual Hebrew, okay, we'll look at it now. Let me just look at it. So the thing that we call Lucifer is only mentioned in two places in the Bible, in Ezekiel and in Isaiah. So if you look at Ezekiel 28, so this is part of the idea that you have of someone opposing God. So there's a lot of argument about this. So we're just going to read this. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, take up a lament concerning the king of Tyre and say to him, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you. Carnelian, chrysolite and emerald, topaz, onyx and jasper, lapis lazuli, turquoise and beryl. Your settings and mountains were made of gold. Sorry. On the day you were created, they were prepared. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, so I ordained you. You were on the holy mount of God. You walked among the fiery stones. You were blameless in your ways from the days you were created, till wickedness was found in you. Through your widespread trade, you were filled with violence and you sinned. So I drove you in disgrace from the mount of God, and I expelled you, guardian cherub, from among the fiery stones. Your heart became proud. on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor. So I threw you to the earth and made a spectacle of you before kings. By your many sins and dishonest trade, you have desecrated your sanctuaries. So I made fire come out of you, and it consumed you, and I reduced you to ashes on the ground in the sight of all who were watching. All the nations who knew you are appalled at you. You have come to a horrible end and will be no more. Sorry, just having a bad cough all of a sudden. Everyone following this? You guys follow this?
Yes.
So remember the story you were talking about, Roberta, of this creature in heaven that was beautiful and did all the singing and all that stuff. That whole idea comes from this passage here. Yeah, that whole idea comes from this passage. Now, here's the problem with this. Here's the little problem with this. This is addressed to an actual human king. So there's a lot of arguments about this. This is addressed to the king of Tyre. So there was an actual king of Tyre in history. This is addressed to an actual king of Tyre. And this is actual poetry that is being used here.
Yeah, I heard about the king thing as
Right.
well.
So a lot of people are you saying, okay, some of the description here cannot be talking of a man. It has to be talking of an angel, of something heavenly. Right? So there are so many arguments about this. So some people, I mean, you were anointed as a guardian cherub, so I ordained you. Some people will say some of those descriptions are not describing a man. But again, this is poetry. This is Jewish poetry. So it's not speaking in exact narrative, or it's not using plain text, will I say, to describe somebody, right? It's using poetry to describe someone. And when we describe people in poetry, we use crazy things, right? Sorry, I'm just having bad cough all of a sudden. Sorry. Okay, so when we use poetry, we describe we use so many things. So that this is one place where that has actually come from. So that story that surrounds it of a creature coming up to. So this is it. You see it here. Yeah. So you were on the holy mount of God. You walked among the fiery stones. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created till wickedness was found in you. So this creature was on the holy mountain with God. And then, wickedness was found in the heart. So kind of like the whole idea of challenging God at the mountain. So I drove you from disgrace from the mountain and, thrown down to earth. But in this whole thing, you have found a horrible end and you'll be no more. So the character is actually consumed. So it's actually hard to, when you use this picture to say this is Lucifer or the devil, it does sound like a king that thought that thought he was God. It also sounds like a king that thought he was God. So some people say it as a king that thought he was God and was being controlled by the devil. So there are different interpretations around this. All right. So this has played into that story of Lucifer. Now the actual word Lucifer. Now you're gonna find this. Here's another one. This is from Isaiah 14. So we're gonna be looking at this from verse 12. You have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who were once laid low like the nations. You said in your heart, I will descend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on throne on the mount of assembly, on the utmost heights of Mount Saffron. I will ascend above the top of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you are brought down to the realm of the dead, to the depths of the pit. So this again falls in that line of the story of Lucifer getting thrown down from heaven, right? So I know you guys will be wondering, the actual word Lucifer is not actually seen in here. I don't know if anyone is wondering about that. No?
Is the word Lucifer used at all? Where does Lucifer come from?
Okay, that's what I'm about to explain. So, but I just wanted to, you can see this, the same similar story, right?
Yeah.
Someone up there in the heavens cast down to the earth. So yeah, people see that. So this is actually the word Lucifer, the morning star. So what's happened is, let me show this to you. So this is the same verse used in, this is the how different Bibles have translated it. So you see King James,
Sorry,
thou
one
fallen
sec.
from heaven, O Lucifer.
Did you
Right?
say Lucifer? Morning star is Lucifer.
Morning star is Lucifer. So that's
But
come
there's a
about.
gospel song about morning star.
Yeah. Well, there is,
Okay.
that comes from
Oh
Revelation.
gosh.
So a lot of things are being mixed. So when you call Jesus or
Yeah,
God, the bright and morning
yeah.
star, that word is actually Lucifer. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's come out. Those things have come about through interesting ways. Okay. So let me so these are different Bible translations. So some of them have translated it to morning star, which is fine. Or day star, that's all right. So look at where it has actually come from. So back in the day, they had the Latin translation of the Bible, and some of the translators for King James, that that has influenced our culture, use that version to do some of the translation. And in Latin, that morning star is called Lucifer. The translation in Latin of morning star is Lucifer. That's essentially all it is. And back in the days when I think in the Roman world, they called that star in the morning that they see before the sun comes up. They used to call that Lucifer. I think they call it It's called Venus now, but they used to call it Lucifer. All right. So that's essentially all that it is. Right. But the story behind it. So the story, I just wanted to give the story first before putting the name to it. The story behind it, or these stories behind it, which refers to someone falling down from a high place where they were with God. These guys, there's debate about the reference to a king. In the morning, Ezekiel is addressed to an actual king whose empire was destroyed and is no more. So those things have added to the tradition that we have today of Lucifer.
It sounds like
Okay.
humans are just looking for someone to blame, I guess.
No, there is okay. Now, when we get to so here's the other part. It's not just that. This is the most conclusive part of it. This is the other part of the story. When we get to Revelation. Now, again, you guys know what type of book Revelation is. It's an apocalyptic book, a book uses a lot of symbolisms and stuff like that. All right. So that's the kind of book that we're reading. Okay. In Revelation, it talks about a rebellion in heaven. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon and his angels fought back, but he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The dragon was hauled down. That that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray, was hauled to the earth and his angels with him. That's it. Now, there's also a little bit of a link. You can see a little bit strand of a link here with something that we see in Genesis chapter 6. You guys know the story of the Nephilim. Let's see if we have Genesis chapter 6. So just trying to put a lot of pieces together. So this is the Nephilim. When humans began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years." The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards. When the sons of God went to the daughters of the humans and had children by them, they were the heroes of old, men of renown. So this is the mention of the so there's a strand of a link here of some tradition of fallen angels thrown out of heaven who come onto earth and try to be like the figures behind the idols that humans worship. So that again, that strand is you can get that from piecing a lot of things through the Bible, but there is that tradition of fallen angels that come and take part in being behind the idols that we worship. So when humans want to give themselves up to worship, things that are not God, these things kind of help step in the way. That there is that tradition there. It's not specifically outlined in the Bible, but I'm just using all these links to put it together for you guys so that you guys can see where they come from. Now, the other thing I want like you guys to know, okay, we have the Bible right now, but all these books are written hundreds and in some cases thousands of years apart. So I'm talking of something in Genesis. I'm trying to put a link to something in Revelation. This is written thousands of years apart, as you can imagine. All right. So there is that. So that's the idea. So the idea is this character is thrown out of heaven, and is some people will say that they were totally destroyed and wiped out. One of those things about Lucifer kind of indicates that. Others will say no, they are being sent to hell for punishment. Okay. Whew. So anyone with me? Anyone questions?
Honestly, I'm still stuck on the whole the Morning Star one. Like that's just like, yo, that's really got me.
It's a bit, yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, and even like to piggyback off Zana, whilst Barons was talking, I was thinking, okay, is that maybe the reason why the word Lucifer isn't used as much? Maybe it's more likely like so. Okay, here's my idea. I was like, if there is this devil figure, one could argue, okay, why doesn't God just get rid of him, and then the world is. I was trying to. That's why I said maybe humans are looking for someone to blame, in terms of having like devil figures.
I get that. There's some people that can say that. But there is a reference. Jesus does refer to Satan. So remember what I said.
Yeah,
there is a lot to piece through, and so that's why I want to give a lot of time for people to just ask questions. So the idea changes as time goes along, because things influence people's thoughts, things that is happening, things happening to them.
Okay.
So
the environment.
So Jesus actually does refer to Satan when we come to the New Testament. So if you see this here, where is that? Okay, thank you. So when Peter, Peter didn't want Jesus to go towards that. Jesus says, "Get behind me, Satan," and Jesus does talk about Satan like an influencing force. All right.
Okay.
So there's an idea that there are some factors, or there are some evil that humans give themselves up to, right? Yeah. So that idea is loose. It's a loose strand. It's not like heavily developed. inside the Bible. So it's a loose strand that is referred to.
Mm.
But that idea of Satan has developed by the time we get to the New Testament. In the Old Testament, most of the Old Testament, it isn't there. So the Old Testament, when you see Satan, it's kind of like an accuser, prosecutor figure. By the time you cross to the New Testament, it's a little different.
Okay. Chosan is asking, she says she missed the explanation of Revelation 12. Is it too late or awkward to ask her go back?
All right. We're referring to this Revelations 12. So again, this is this just comes on the back of that. It's like the war, a revolt that brought came out in heaven. So this is just another piece that adds to that idea of Satan, the fallen angels, and stuff like that, right? So this also comes from that. Just these two verses, right? The ancient serpent is called the devil or Satan, who leads the world astray. So this is where you get the most concrete idea of a fallen angel or angels who are here, and humans kind of give their will up to them in terms of, so they cannot take over your will. We give our will up to them in terms of when we worship that. So this is the tradition behind it. We give your will up to them when we worship idols. So this is how so Jesus says you cannot serve God and you serve mammon, right? So when you're worshiping money, there is a force, will I say satanic force behind that. So sorry, that's the idea behind it. You guys with me? Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. No, sorry, I'm just coming back to it.
Go on.
So did this happen? Basically, is my question. What's the background to this verse?
Oh, so no, I'm just talking about what this verse influenced. So this verse is this is in Revelation.
Yeah.
This is in Revelation, and Revelation is like what actually what let's just do this. What do you know what type of book of Revelation is first?
It's a vision that John had, no?
Mm-hmm.
About the ending of the world and the new creation.
Okay. So in part of that, it talks about some of the so it's kind of like a genre called it's like it's apocalyptic book. It's a genre kind of revealing behind the scenes. That's what essentially what it is. So this is revealing behind the scenes of something that's happened in heaven, right? There's a war, rebellion. These fallen angels are thrown down, and they kind of, it's kind of now referring to like adding to this tradition where there's like a scene of kind of satanic figures that are kind of behind idols that we worship. So that's the tradition that's built out of this, or at least this is supporting that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I get that, but I think
when
I'm
you're
trying to
worshiping,
yeah.
So when someone worships a god of money, a god of lost sex, I don't all the different forms of gods or things that we've put to gods in our world, there is kind of like a force, a demonic force that attaches to that helps carry you along the way. That's the idea behind it.
So I'm confused because I'm trying to understand, like, what did John intend when he wrote this? What not what was a result of this or how other people interpreted it and used it, but what was it meant for? what actually happened.
Oh, so this is the thing, right? This is one of the I was actually, I knew this would raise a lot of questions. I was actually in double mind about adding this piece, but I just thought I have to just give you what is there. Revelation is a very difficult book to understand because it's filled with a lot of symbolisms, a lot of symbols and stuff like that. So it's quite
Yeah.
tough, and I'm doing something terrible in the sense that I'm taking out a piece from it. But the idea behind the book is that it's revealing behind the scenes of things that have happened, things that were happening at the time, and things that were to come. It's not always
Okay.
necessarily telling you of the future. So is
So
also
that's my
giving a
question. Did
message.
this happen?
That's the idea behind it, yes. So
Okay.
if you believe in the Bible, then yes, that's the idea
Then
behind it.
no, because sometimes the Bible speaks figuratively, sometimes it's literature. I don't know if it's always
No,
a
yeah,
historic
that's yeah.
description of what happened.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It's quite difficult. So I would say yes. That's my view. I don't know.
Okay.
This book is quite a tough one for me as well. So
Okay.
it's not always easy. But that's kind of the idea here. It's kind of telling you of a rebellion that happened in heaven. And I think for a lot of people, they take it at that value, that this is a rebellion that happened in heaven, and these angels were were thrown down. Lost and were thrown down.
I see.
Even though that opens up a whole host of questions as well, and those questions are above my pay grade, to be honest. Okay, we've built. So we've built up our hell. We've if I go back, so we found our devil. We found our okay. We found the deep. Now let's just put two things, and this is where we're going to try to build out a lot of things from here. I don't know if we'll complete tonight, but okay. So let's go to the next influence of hell is this word here, Tartarus. This word is mentioned only one place in the Bible. So as you can see, you can see like some of the influences of translation as well that's had on this word hell. So I've given you a whole host of different things that are translated to mean something that you already have, a picture you already have in your mind, and that then builds into something else, right? So like look at the word Lucifer. It's just a Latin word for morning star or bright and morning star kind of thing. But that has not built a whole picture around the story that is very contentious as well. Same thing here with this word Tartarus. So Tartarus is just used in one place in the Bible, and that is in Second Peter chapter 4. So so again, I've showed you guys Sheol translated to hell. We've not really seen Hades, but we'll look into and see Hades translated to hell. So now again, you see this word. So here, for God did not spare angels when they sinned, but they sent them to hell, putting them in chains of darkness to be held for judgment. This is Peter writing as well. So again, this looks into that idea of the fallen angels. Oh man, I'm having a bad cough. Okay, so the word here is not Sheol or Hades. The word here is Tartarus. We look into that. Tartaru or Tartarus for us. Tartarus. So Greek tradition. Oh man. Interesting day to have this cough. Greek tradition have this thing called Tartarus, right? It's kind of like a place where fallen gods or titans are sent. Anybody heard or watched Clash of the Titans?
Yeah. Yeah, watch Clash of the Titans.
Oh, I've heard of it. I don't know. Is it the anime?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Is it?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of something completely different. Then.
I was going to think if there was one, but I don't think so.
Is it a superhero thing? Or
N-
no? Oh, okay,
no,
then don't worry.
not really.
I'm thinking of something completely different.
I mean, if you were to liken it to something, I mean, like, Aaron's probably correct me if I'm wrong, but if you were to liken it to something, it's almost like 300, I would say, almost like that.
Oh,
But it speaks
There's a
more
movie.
about, but it speaks about more like immortality and stuff like that, and
oh, right.
yeah,
So yeah, it's told from it's Greek mythology. So Titans are kind of like this almost they are like demigods type of people in Greek mythology.
Okay,
In Greek mythology,
okay.
bad Titans as they are sent by the bigger god Zeus or whatever. They are sent to
Alright.
Tartarus for punishment.
Oh, okay.
So for them, they have Hades, which is the place of the dead, and then underneath Hades you have Tartarus. So those Greek Titans are sent to Tartarus for punishment. All right. So okay, in here, Peter is writing to Christians in the Greek world. They're a bit disheartened that okay, what's going on? The people are dying, they are getting killed. Jesus has not yet come back, and he's writing to kind of encourage them and just to let them know that people are also mocking them. So he writes them. He's writing in Greek, right? He's using Greek to write. This is translated from Greek to English for us, and he borrows something from Greek mythology to tell them that we even kind of telling them put this idea of fallen angels also get sent to Tartarus for punishment. So he kind of borrows that idea from Greek mythology to use to describe a place of punishment even for angels. So he says, look, even if the angels don't escape punishment, all these people that do evil to you, do you think that God will just let them go let it go scot-free? Do you understand?
Yeah.
You guys all with me? Okay, cool. So that's it. So different varying things now. So that is what builds on our idea of so we come back to our thing. So this idea of punishment and torture, that's kind of come as well from there. There are two other things that link to it, but I'll get to that. So okay, this is kind of our picture that we have of hell. So the one thing that is left is this everlasting, the fire and the darkness, and I'm gonna get to those right now. Okay. Any questions so far? I hope you guys are not lost. It's quite a lot, and there's still a lot more to come.
no, it's good. It's good.
Okay, you guys with me? You guys are all with me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why this topic is very complicated. Okay. Now here's the other bit. Okay. So when Christianity then goes into the Greek world, so Jesus, came through Judaism in Jewish world. Everything in the Old Testament is, or as they call it, the Hebrew Bible. Everything in the Hebrew Bible is all within the Jewish world. When we go to the New Testament or Greek Bible, things come out of Judaism and start interacting with other parts of the world and different cultures, and they come to our time. Some of these things have then mixed up with what we know as Christianity, or some of the ideas from Christianity, or okay, let me just some of these ideas mixed up with things that they have in their culture. to also shape the image that we have of hell. Right. Two of those things, two very big parts of it are I don't you guys know the philosopher Plato. We've kind of referenced him. Plato has a very big influence in our world. In his writings, The Republic, book 6, he writes about the myth of air. He's trying to talk about justice inside of it. And inside that thing, I'm not going to go too deep in that right now because there's something else I think is more priority to cover at the moment. But this also gives rise to things like punishment, torture, all that imagery that you have also comes out from here. Now, he also has the idea of reincarnation inside of it. So again, that's giving thought to different cultures that have reincarnation. This is also part of a little bit of the influence there. So if you so reincarnation also coming from there. The idea behind which Plato is trying to drive at is actually very interesting one. So maybe if we have some time, we can just come back to it. And I think he actually links well with some of the ideas that we have in the Bible. Plato wrote this. This is written even before Jesus is born. So this is, from a long time ago. So as you can imagine, this influencing a Greek world, the ideas of Christianity come out and they merge in with some of the things that we have in Greek world, and that comes over to us right now. Now, in terms of the images that you have of hell, the actual very visual images of punishment, torture, everlasting punishment, a lot of that comes from the Divine Comedy by Dante. I don't know if anyone's heard of this. Okay, so it's a 3-part work. There's Dante's Inferno, there's Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso, right? So it's basically Inferno, Paradise, and Purgatory. So is the poet Dante. He's writing in like the 13th or 14th century, 12th, 13th, very long time ago. And he in the first part, Dante's Inferno, which is the popular part, he travels through the 9 circles of hell. And it's very visual image of different people who committed different sins and the kind of suffering that they go through. It's a very, very interesting piece of writing from Dante, the poet. So, anyone heard of Dante's Inferno?
No.
It sounds familiar though, but I don't know.
So a lot of the imagery that you have of hell actually comes from there. And there's another one called what is this thing called? I can't remember. It's something from the painter called Michelangelo. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Yeah, it's called Final Judgments, Michelangelo. If I put that in here. So yeah, it's a very we're not gonna dwell too much on it, but if you guys can see, it's just a lot of big imagery. I think it's painted in one of those churches in the Vatican or something like that, one of the ceilings or something, about final judgment. All it is very loads of different people suffering and being dragged to hell and stuff like that. So that idea comes from there. Okay. Now, you guys, everyone with me? Now I'm gonna move to the final hell, the very final one, the one that I think the one that Jesus talks the most about. That's where we're gonna go now, and I think that's the one that I think is more important for us to focus on. All right. Okay. So first, before we get there, there's another thing that I just need to go to in Revelation, not Revelations. Revelation 21. So remember what I said at the beginning, what the Bible is interested in. Genesis 1, God creates a good world. Everything is good. This is good. That is good. Revelation 21, we get back to this, right? This is the last this is the last pages of the Bible. So the first page and the last page of the Bible, the story and the end, coming together in unity, right? So heaven and earth created, heaven and earth perfect, heaven and earth in sync, everything going well, things starts going wrong because of man, and then we get to this place in the end where everything comes back together, new creation. That's what the Bible is concerned about. Bible is not really concerned about a lot of other things that we seem to be worried about. Okay, so then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God." So you see this, when we talk about this idea of people going to heaven, that doesn't make any sense, right? The idea is heaven coming down to earth in new creation, literally right here, right? This is the bride, heaven coming down to earth in new creation. So in the beginning, heaven and earth perfectly in sync, aligned. There's a separation because of the sin. When we go back to new creation, we go back to way things were, Genesis 1. Everybody with me? We've kind of talked about this a lot, right? Yeah, with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. He will wipe away every tear from the eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed
Wow.
away. He who was seated on his throne said, "I am making everything new." And then he said, "Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true." He said to me, "It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty, I will give water without cost from the spring of the water of life. Those who are victorious will inherit all this, and I will be their God, and they will be my children." Now, this part. But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magical arts, the idolaters, all the liars, they will be consigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. And it goes on about the marriage of heaven and earth, right? The new Jerusalem, and you see all of that in more detail. Again, remember, this is the thing that the Bible is concerned about, getting back here, new heaven, new earth, new creation. This is all that you see people talking about in in the Bible. Okay, now I know there's a lot of questions to come from here, but we're gonna just deal with something else, and then we'll kind of attach it to this. So wait, actually no. First thing, what he's talking about here is that all of this causing problem all the evil in God's world will be taken out and thrown into a lake of fire. That's it. All the opposition and evil of God's world is taken in this new creation, is taken out, thrown into the lake of fire. Okay, now let's just look at our final. There is a little bit of a link. Let's look at our final place of word for hell, and that's the one Jesus used the most.
So we just gonna ignore the lake of fire?
No, we're coming back to it. We're coming back to it.
Okay.
Don't worry. We're coming back to it. Okay, so this is the last one, the Valley of Hinnom. So that picture that I sent is about this place. This is a place outside Jerusalem. You can actually go visit it. This is hell. This is the hell Jesus talked about. If you guys can see, let me see if I give a better picture. That's it. The Valley of Hinnom. This is the place Jesus talked about. So when you're seeing hell in the Bible, or when you see Jesus talking about hell, maybe think about this place. But okay, There's a lot of history behind that, and we're going to look through it in so many different ways. Okay? All right. Okay. So before we get to the New Testament, this place, the Valley of Hinnom, is mentioned firstly in Jeremiah 7. Jeremiah 7. So here, just read this. The people of Judah have done evil in my eyes, declared the Lord. They have set up their detestable idols in the house that bears my name, and have defiled it. They have built the high places of Tophet in the valley of Ben Hinnom to burn their sons and daughter in fire. Something I did not command, nor did it enter my mind. So beware, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when people will no longer call it Tophet or the valley of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. For they will bury they will bury the dead in Tophet until there is no more room. Then the carcasses of these people will become food for the birds and the wild animals, and there will be no more. There's be no one to frighten them away. I'll bring an end to the sounds of joy and gladness, and to the voices of the bride and the bridegroom in the towns of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem, for the land will become desolate. All right, do you guys get what's happening here?
So the people of Hinnom are burning sons and daughters in fire.
Yes.
That's all I picked
So
up.
yeah. The Jerusalem, Hinnom is outside Jerusalem. This is part of Israel, right? So Jerusalem is built on, is kind of a city on 7 hills. So as you can imagine, as there are hills, there are going to be low places which are valleys. So there are loads of valleys around it. One of those valleys is the Valley of Hinnom. This place, or the Valley of Ben Hinnom, same thing. This place, these people were going there to set up what we call, I'm sure you've heard people say high places. Have you guys heard of this? People cast out demons in high places. High places in the Bible is just like an altar. They build a high altar where they make sacrifices on. That's essentially all that it is inside the Bible. So they go and set up their high places on there, which essentially is like an altar, and they sacrifice their children. They sacrifice actual human beings there. Right? So this happened because they were worshiping an idol.
Right.
Okay? So they were worshiping a god of one of those gods.
Okay.
We see this again in Jeremiah 19. Look at this again. Go and buy a clay jar from Porter. Take along some of the elders of the people of the priest and go out to the valley of Ben Hinnom near the entrance of Portshed Gate. There proclaim the words I tell you, and say, hear the word of the Lord, you kings of Judah and people of Jerusalem. This is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. Listen, I am going to bring a disaster on this place that will make the ears of everyone who hears it tingle. For they have forsaken me and made this a place of foreign gods. They have burned incense in it to gods that neither they nor their ancestors nor the kings of Judah ever knew. And they have filled this place with the blood of the innocents. They have built, say again, high places of Baal to burn again. They have built the high places of Baal to burn their children in the fire as offerings to Baal. Something I did not command or mention, nor did it enter my mind. So I guess you can see the just adding, nor did it enter my mind, just the disgust that God has in this sort of act where they've actually sacrificed human beings, kids, their sons, their daughters to the god Baal. So beware, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when the people will no longer call this place Tophet or the valley of Ben Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. Okay. Now, here's another thing that's happened because of translation. So this place is in Hebrew is called the Valley of Hinnom. Let's just go back. It's called I think it's called Gi Ben Hinnom, right? So I think in the Hebrew, that's what you see there. Let me just get that right, actually. Hang on. So if I do Jeremiah 7. So I see the translation. Yeah, so it's Gi Ben Hinnom. All right, so that's the valley of Hinnom. Anyways, so you have that there. Now, when this is translated to Greek, it's translated Gehenna. Right?
Yeah.
It's translated Gehenna. Gehenna. In Greek is Gehenna. So when Jesus is actually saying hell, he's actually saying Gehenna.
Okay.
So Jesus is actually saying the valley of Hinnom. So let me give examples. Let me get examples. So let's say Matthew chapter 5. I think he mentions hell in the so this is Matthew 23. We'll come to Matthew. Let me see, Matthew 5. So this is popular. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with his brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to his brother or sister, Raka, is answerable to the court. And anyone who says, you fool, will be in danger of hell. You guys know this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a popular one. When he's the hell that is there.
Gehenna.
The hell that is there is Gehenna. These people spell things weird, but the hell that is there is actual Gehenna. So let me see. Some of the modern Bibles have stopped writing it as hell. They've now started. They've now started. So these guys go hellfire, fires of hell, fires. Okay, wow, fires of hell, hellfire, inferno de fuego. No. Fiery hell. Okay, these guys have gone with Gehenna of the fire. Okay, so these guys have left it Gehinnom. So that's so that's just a Greek transliteration. Gehenna, Gehinnom. This Latin one, in Latin they kept it as Gehenna. They've written it in their own version. So that's kind of all that it is. This idea of you get the idea of where fire part of it is coming from, right?
The burning of the babies.
Yeah, people were born in this place. So this now became a place of hell. So let me show you another part, but we'll come to this again. You snakes, you brood of vipers, how will you escape being condemned to hell? Again, this hell is Gehenna. All right, and let's see all the other Bibles what they've called it. Gehenna, Gehinnom. So these guys are consistent. A lot of the others have gone with hell. So the hell, a lot of the time when Jesus is talking about hell, this is the place he's talking about.
Okay. Well, that changes everything. Oh.
Wait, we're not done.
Okay.
So, as you can imagine, from what we've read, this place is a figurative place. Now, there is a tradition. It's very disputed that this place then became a place where people burnt their refuse. So, they took all their refuse out of the city in Jerusalem, took it to the valley of Hinnom and burnt it there. But there are some people, archaeologists will tell you there's no evidence for that. So, but again, we know this is a place where people were, human beings were burnt and killed. It now came to represent a place of evil, right? Because they didn't just burn and kill human beings there; they did it in sacrifice to an idol, in sacrifice to an actual god that they believed in. All right. right? So this place
Yeah.
then became a cursed place, a place of evil. But I want you to just look at one characteristic of this place. This place is actually on earth. You remember, you're right? This place is actually here on earth. It became a place of a cursed place, a place of evil, right? Okay.
Also, it's like the valley, like the down.
The Valley of Hinnom became while it was it's a physical place,
Yeah.
it then became a place within culture. Metaphorically, this place then gave
Okay.
idea to the culture within their thing of a cursed place,
I see.
a place of evil. You understand? I mean, something
Mhm.
evil, evil thing. People, our dear ancestors or our ancestors did evil things here. So this place then became a place of evil, a place where and they did it in sacrifice to a actual god. That was, you understand, something very detestable, sacrificing a human being, because you wanted the blessings from another god in rival to Yahweh, right? Okay, so this then place then became a place of evil. All right. So when Jesus is using the word hell, he's not referring to a place where you go to when you die. A lot of the times. Okay. So we just want to show you how Jesus talked about hell. Let me show you how Jesus talked about. So let's go back to Matthew 23 again. Just give you this example, then we'll go into the last thing that we need to do today. Oh, this is no, that's not. This is Matthew 23. Okay. Just give me a minute. Okay, verse 15. So Jesus is basically saying a lot of harsh things to the Pharisees. But he says, look at this. Woe to you, teachers of the laws and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You travel over land and sea to win a single convert, and when you have succeeded, you make them twice as much a child of hell as you are. Yes. You guys see this? You make them as twice a child of hell as you are. This hell here is the Gehenna. You are a child of Gehenna. You understand? Basically, these people are essentially you're in opposition to God. You're serving the cost place. You understand? You're serving that idea of the rubbish that is taken out of the city and burned there. You're serving this place of curses and things. So when you're spreading your message, you're basically making people children of Gehenna. Right? So he's not talking about it as a place where you go to after you die. He's talking about as a place that is here, right now. He goes on again. Look at this. You snakes, you brood of vipers, how will you escape being condemned to Gehenna? Right? You're from Gehenna, you'll be sent back to Gehenna, to the cursed place. You understand? Okay. Okay. Now, just the last thing that we need to do to just bring this whole picture bring the whole picture of how Jesus talks about hell. Actually, let me give you one last one. So this is not just Jesus now. This is James, the brother of Jesus, talking about hell. That is in James chapter. Do I have that open already? No, I don't. Okay, so in James chapter 3, chapter 3, verse 6. So again, James is writing about. It's a very interesting book. I encourage everyone to read it. Maybe when we get the opportunity, we might go through it as well. He says, "Look, likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boast. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. right? Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and itself set on fire by hell, Gehenna. Do you guys get this?
And itself set on
So
fire.
I get that he's referring to hell
Mm-hmm.
as a physical place there and then, but I don't understand what he's saying about the tongue.
So he's essentially, so again, as I said, is a physical place that now has metaphorical significance. Do you guys get that? So
Yeah.
something that happened in this place. So think about the way we talk about you guys know Nagasaki, Hiroshima,
Hiroshima.
the bombing that happened there. So somebody can use Hiroshima like a metaphor to talk about pain and suffering. You understand?
Yeah.
You understand? Right?
Yeah.
So hell, this Gehenna took on this significance of like that, a cursed place,
Right.
a place of burning fire. Now there's also the idea, which people argue that it didn't exist, of a place where people were taking their rubbish outside of the city and burning it there as well. So that idea also exists. So it's also that kind of place. It's just a desolate, cursed place. So he's saying that people's tongue is set on fire by hell, by Gehenna, by a cursed place. The things we say to each other, you understand? You can destroy somebody's day, life, everything just by the things you say. You guys get that?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So
deep.
that's what he's trying to imply here. Like Gehenna, we can inflict Gehenna on people just with our tongues.
That's true.
We can inflict Gehenna on ourselves just with our tongues, right?
Wow.
The tongue can be set on fire by Gehenna, by hell.
It's a full.
You understand? So, oh God, let me
That's strong imagery.
actually let me give a. I mean, we know examples of this. People can say, people act like if, people can say things that will mentally, emotionally hurt you more than any slap can hurt you. People will people will say can say things that will emotionally and just destroy your life, your well-being, just from that, right? So so this is James saying, even the things we say, we need to be careful that even the things we say can bring that pain, a cause of Gehenna to people's lives. So they talked about hell not as a place where you go to after you're there. And the way Jesus talked about hell is like, now this hell is for the people that oppose God. People that oppose God are influenced by hell. So we see that in the conversation with Matthew 23 with the Pharisees. So in that sense, those are the people that go to hell, the people that oppose God. You guys with me?
So is it like another term of describing the title of Satan, or is that pushing it a bit?
No, not the title of Satan. No.
Oh, okay, good. All right. But it generally is like people who oppose God under the influence of Gehenna. Okay.
Yes.
Makes sense.
So the people that are bringing pain and evil and all that into this world, they're under the influence of Gehenna.
Right.
So when you say, when you're saying evil things to other people, when you say awful things to people, and you put them down and you make them feel bad and you ruin their day and all those sort of things, James will look at that and say, Gehenna. All right. So that's that.
That's deep.
So when we go to Revelation, what happens is that this evil that is in this world, the Gehennas of this world, those things are removed and thrown into the lake of fire.
Right.
Do you understand? The evil that's in this world, the things that cause evil in this world, those that's removed and thrown into the lake of fire.
Okay.
So, is
So
there a lake of fire?
I don't know. So because in some places, so this is the thing, in Jesus's parables, in some places, everything is cast into outer darkness. So remember, where's the parable of the wheat and the tares, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the evil is at the end of the age is thrown into fire,
Mm-hmm.
right? In another parable, they are cast into outer darkness.
Okay.
These two things are opposing metaphors,
Yeah.
but they are metaphors to tell us that essentially the main idea there is that you're separated from this world. We don't know, and maybe our language and our we can't see this world. Our language and our language and our metaphors doesn't make room to describe what happens at the end of the age. All Jesus can do is use language and metaphor that we already have to describe these things.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So that's why
Yeah.
you get darkness in one place, fire in another place. Here's the thing though, and this is another part. People always talk about this fire as, everlasting fire. So number one, can a soul burn? Can you burn people's soul? Can you burn soul? Can your body can burn, but can your soul burn? Can
Maybe.
fire actually burn your soul?
No.
Maybe.
We don't know. You don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. Do you know? We don't know.
I'll say no.
I said
But
maybe.
you can say maybe, you can say yes, you can say no. But the truth is we don't know.
Okay.
We don't know for sure. Right?
Yeah.
But the main idea here is the separation. The main idea here is that heaven and earth coming back together, full unison. Then the evil and all that moved aside.
I've got a question, Aaron.
Go
Sorry
on.
to cut in. So then, in that case, yeah, I've just focused on the word throwing to the fire. So when we talk about what happens to the bad people or what happens to those who are, so does that
the evil? Let's call it the evil in the world. Okay.
Evil, sorry, the evil in the. Okay, you're calling it the evil in the world, but does that include the people? So I'm trying to think of it. I'm not wishing. Let me be honest, isn't it? Because now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, does that mean they can get away with it if evil itself, and maybe not the person of evil, but evil is going to be thrown into this lake of fire? Does that include people?
How do you separate the evil from the people if the people are doing the evil?
Oh, yeah,
that's interesting. That's interesting. If we go to
But you get what I'm saying?
I get what
you're saying. Yeah.
Get rid of, like, no one will no longer be evil, like, in a sense, or it could literally mean be literal, like, as in like these people who do evil or any acts of evil is gonna be in the fire. I don't know. I'm just thinking because
let's go to a parable that might not shed any light, but look at this.
You choose a parable for an explanation.
Okay, so look at this parable. Look at this one. So when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom of God prepared for you since the creation of the world." So, yeah, we know the idea. I was thirsty, you fed me, and then Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty," and all that. So, okay.
So there's the idea of separation, right?
So you are separated from God's world, and you are thrown into the fire that is prepared for the devil. But no. But here's the thing with this one. A lot of people miss that. It's not people that are gathered, it's the nations of the world that are gathered.
I beg. Who are the nations if not the people?
Okay. So but it's the nations of the world, not the individuals themselves. So again, it's confusing.
if not the people?
All the nations.
Who are the nations? So
Yeah.
the people of Jamaica. That's one of the
Yeah,
nations
so
of the
then the
world.
nations and the people is the same thing, no?
Is it though?
I see what you're saying.
What is the difference?
Okay.
That's my question.
If a Jamaican dies, has Jamaica died?
No.
No. But if
Exactly.
Jamaica dies, the Jamaicans die.
Hey.
Is that necessarily true?
So are you saying
Why
we're
not?
accountable for each
Does
other's
every single
actions?
Jamaican have to die for Jamaica to die?
Yeah.
No. Well, if they're in Jamaica, then yes.
Well, okay. So are you Jamaican only when you're in Jamaica?
No.
Okay. Do you see the problem here?
Yeah.
So again, this is a parable. He's using a lot of symbolism to tell you something that is going to happen at the end of the age. But exactly, we don't know. But what the only thing that we know that evil and the opposition to God's world will be separated when new creation, and then it is chucked into a lake of fire. Does that involve the people? Okay. Now we have a parable that's going to suggest yes to that.
Oh, right.
That is going to suggest, but it is a parable. So again, that's one we're going to pick up next week and look into detail of that. That's another parable. So hopefully you get a chance to read. We're meant to go through it today, but again, we can't be rushed through anything. In here, the very famous parable of the rich man and Lazarus. And in here is a word sent as hell. Hell. Okay, here, this hell here. What hell do you think this is? Just to make it interesting. What hell which of the hells do you think this one is?
And in hell he lives up his hands, screaming for Hold on.
Okay,
in Sheol. In Sheol, in the grave, I think.
Okay, this is the equivalent. This is the Greek version of equivalent of Sheol. That's Hades.
Abraham.
So the Greek version of Sheol, the place of the dead. So again, another problem this gives us. But again, this is what we're gonna read.
But is it really though? Yeah, that is a problem.
Well, not necessarily a problem. It's the place of the dead. But where is Abraham's bosom?
Yeah. Because when I read that, I thought like the rich man was in a place of torment.
He was in a place of torment, yes.
But then that can't just be the place of the dead. Then it needs to be like, I don't know, like Gehenna.
Oh, but it says being in torment. It didn't say being in the place of torment.
Being in torment.
Yeah. So I think the translation.
But he does say here. Just look. He just say again. We're gonna go in detail next time. But these are things. Go and read. Come with your own theories and your own thing. So we're gonna go to. This is what we're gonna look through next time. So.
Okay.
It says, for I have 5 brothers, that he may testify unto them, lest they come into this place of torment.
Yeah, so that gives the imagery that even then in the grave there's a separation of places. There's Abraham's bosom, and then there's a place of torment.
But yeah, you can say that. Go read the whole thing and then work out everything together. You need to. It is a parable.
Okay.
So number one, just try read it. Don't read just this. Read the whole thing. Who is Jesus? Who is Jesus talking to, and why is Jesus talking to them?
Okay.
It's a parable. What the things symbolize? And just break down the differences between what you're seeing and what is Jesus trying to tell me.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So there are loads of wild theories around this one. So we'll go through it again and just see it. So again, just to quickly recap, the main hell that Jesus talks about, Gehenna. So I think Jesus uses the word hell, or when you read your Bible and see the word hell, I think about 13 times. He shows 13 times
Mm.
Okay, 13 times. I think 11 of those times, Jesus is saying Gehenna,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And one of those, he uses it 12 times. One of those times he's saying Hades, or twice he's saying, hey, the gates of Hades shall not rebel against it. So twice he's saying Hades. The other times he's saying Gehenna. And he's referring to, so when he talks about, oh, if you're, you know, my brain has just frozen. They know the Sermon on the Mount. You know, it's better for you to for parts of your body to perish than for the whole body to be thrown into Gehenna. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If something
Ew.
is causing you to sin, get rid of it.
Ugh.
It's better for you not to be in, it's better for Gehenna not to rule your whole life,
Oh wow.
right? Than do you understand?
Yeah.
It's
That
better
makes
for
sense.
one part of in the way he's speaking,
Mm.
it's better for one part of your body to perish than for Gehenna to rule your whole life.
Oh.
You understand?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
But so we will I think the one thing I just want you to also do when you read this, try to find a trace. There is a trace in this parable that shows a life that goes from here to the afterlife, and just try and see the link between that, and then we can talk. So the main thing is that the hell that Jesus is talking about, Gehenna, is a place that is here, is a place metaphorically and physically here that influences the way people think and the way people act, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we're worshiping, when we live life that worships money, we're essentially also sacrificing other people. People are sleeping on the street, kids are dying. See what is happening in Ukraine, Syria, Yemen, so many parts of the world. People are
Yes.
dying so that some other person can profit. That essentially was what people worshipped idols for. They sacrificed their kids so that Baal will bless them with, fertility and good fortune and all those things. They didn't do it for nothing. And the same thing that we see happening in the world today. We worship the god of money, we worship the god of sex, and the god of this and the god of that, of
Mm.
all these things, because that's what we want. And
Mm.
all these evil people are behind it as well,
Mm.
helping. Once you give yourself to those things, they help drag you along, right?
Mm.
So that's the idea behind it. So, and this hell and those who oppose hell will be separated.
Mm.
And we will see a bit more of that when we read the parable next time and kind of discuss all those things that come out of that. Hope maybe we'll be able to touch on Plato's thing and see the influences from that as well.
Sorry, Aaron's one last question.
Yeah, go
Maybe
on.
we can be for next week. Next 2 weeks. What about the bit where Jesus, after when he died on the cross, went down to get the keys or something like that? Is that another
That's not
depiction
in
of?
the Bible, as far as I'm
Eh?
aware.
Is that
Ah,
the Bible?
I'm
Okay,
not
maybe
aware
no,
of
no,
that
no.
being in the Bible.
Oh, sorry. Maybe he didn't physically go, but I think he mentioned something about the keys of
no, I think there's
Satan or
something
something.
about that.
Mm.
No.
Okay, I will bring it. I'll bring it next. I'll do the research and
Yeah,
maybe.
dude, I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
don't think that is in the Bible.
No, I think it probably is.
Well, if it's
Yeah,
not, my gosh.
I know, right?
No.
I just remember.
You know what I mean?
I remember. Yeah, they'll be like,
Wait,
oh,
hang,
you've got
hang
the
on, hang
key
on.
of you got the key of, is it death or something? I don't know. And then, yeah, and he rose again, and yeah, that's what I remember. I might be
No,
like,
I don't. Okay, wait, hang on. There is
maybe it is not mentioned. Like
so there
maybe it's
is
just
wait, hang on.
someone interpretation.
Nah. So in Ephesians 4,
Visions.
in Ephesians 4, let's see. Hang on. I am not aware of this, but let's see.
Okay.
Ephesians 4. Oh, Ephesians 4.
Let
So
me
in
see.
Ephesians 4, he says that when he, so from when he descended on high, he took many captives and gave gifts to his people. What does he ascended mean except that he also descended to the lower earthly regions? This is it.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no that Jesus went to hell to get the gate. I can't see
Yeah.
that anywhere. I don't think I've seen that.
Okay, I remember like this is
So
how the keys. Maybe they just
I think people
yeah.
again, but that is a wild interpretation of this, no?
Yeah, because like that's when I was growing up, I was like keys. So there's a key
Yeah.
to something. So I don't know. All right.
Exactly.
I
That's a
have
very
that
common
imagery as
notion.
well.
Yeah, like we won, like he won the keys, so now he can go to him. I don't know, but well, I'll try to find maybe where I got it from, and maybe we can discuss. But I wonder if that's maybe another
What
metaphor
what
to
part of the
like.
Revelation?
Gehenna.
One.
Oh,
So there's Revelation 1. Wait, hang on. Let's look at Revelation.
Revelation. Oh,
Revelation. Again, these are just things people are piecing together. Verse 18. It says, I am the living one. I was dead, and now look, I am alive forever and ever, and I hold the keys of death and Hades. But that's it.
oh, it's not hell.
He's not saying that Jesus
What?
went down
The fourth
into.
Satan and thingy. Yeah, that's how I remember.
So that's a wild interpretation of things.
Wow, I'm gonna find out what that comes
So
from.
again, a lot of what people think is not actually in the Bible. Sometimes I think we can
Yeah.
see that clearly with this hell conversation.
Well, it's been
Um,
mentioned in church, Rose. This is
Yeah.
bad.
I have no control of what people mention in different churches around the world. People people say a lot of things
Okay,
in
I'll do
churches.
research.
So yeah, it's also whenever someone is saying something, it's always good to ask where that
Yeah,
is in the Bible, because
how's
a
them?
lot of times a lot of the influences that we have has come from things outside Bible as well.
I
But
can see
again,
that.
the most important, the story the Bible is trying to tell is about here and now.
Mm, mm,
That's why when Jesus talks, he talks more about Gehenna than any other one, because
mm,
he's concerned about here and now,
mm.
the effects of here and now.
And
That's the
so
important thing, here and now.
again, sorry,
And
sorry
go
again,
on.
sorry to cut you. The bit about was it in Revelation where there's a whole thing with where did the idea of us being like you look at what we've done, God is gonna judge us, da, 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 da. Like where did that come from then? If we're getting this evil will be separated, da da da.
No, I
There's
mean
the
that's come from many places. So we just read
oh
the parable of the sheep and the goats. We read
okay.
about in Daniel that kind of gives that whole rise to the book of death, the book of life, that whole judgment.
Right.
So again,
Everyone.
that strand you can piece it from many different parts in the Bible. There is judgment, but the idea behind it is is quite interesting and different. So that's why I think it's important to read Luke 16. Is very, very key to just understanding that side of things. But at least now we've kind of placed all these things that have come together to influence our idea and our thought behind hell. So main thing I want you to leave with tonight is not hell is not a place that is outside of this earth right now. Hell is here, and hell is still something that we are part of creating every day in the things we say, the things we do, who we worship, and all these things. Right? I heard someone say that it doesn't matter whether you're Christian, Muslim, whoever you are. It doesn't matter who you are. All of us worship something. Even though if you don't worship the Christian God, then maybe you worship, you worship money. Maybe you worship power. Maybe you worship your your looks or something.
Social media.
The things that you worship, let's leave. So the things that you worship drive your actions. You understand? The things that you worship drive your actions, and those things have the ability to create Gehenna for people and create Gehenna for all those around of us. So that's the most important thing. At the end of the day, that Gehenna will be taken out of God's good world, and that's the most important thing. Oh man, I survived it. This cough. Ooh. Okay, cool. Any more questions?
No questions, just
No.
brilliant teaching. That was eye-opening, like on so many levels, and like just reminding us of the importance of actually reading what the scripture says and studying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
So
I can see it.
it's so easy to run away with like our own interpretation sometimes that we
Yeah.
forget what the Bible is actually saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, I see a lot of why some controversies will come into place. Just the other day, sorry to go off a tangent, I saw a documentary on Jimmy Savile and
Oh,
how
God.
just really quickly, he said he grew up Catholic, and there was an interview they did of him where he said, "Oh, if I'm going, I meet the angel who's like, he's gonna be like, oh, sorry, you've done so many, all the debits, that shows me a list of all my debits, all the things that I've done wrong. I'll just be like, oh, hang on a minute, turn the page, and then these are all my credits. I've all the things that I've done right. So he's basically implying that he would want to go to heaven, and it's just hell and all that he mentioned.
And that's actually a good thing to mention, because in that story he's there creating hell for people on earth, and he's talking about hell like a place you go to after you die. But he was here creating hell for people, right?
Exactly.
Abusing so many kids and doing a lot of evil things. You understand? And that's what a lot of, and that's like the deception of what we have. When we are talking about hell as, oh yeah, when I die, I want to avoid hell. But you're creating hell here, right now. And the hell that you're creating is what God wants to separate from his good world. Do you understand?
Yes.
So it's important for us to understand that and be mindful of that, right? Because when we are choosing all these things that God doesn't want us to do, that don't go in line with God's justice and his righteousness, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his justice and righteousness. All those things that don't go in line with that, when you're doing that, you're essentially creating hell, and that's what God wants to take out and separate. So yeah, hell does exist, but it is here, and at the end of the age, God will take it out of this earth when new creation happens. But it is here. We should not deceive ourselves that hell is somewhere else right now, waiting for people. We are creating it right here, right now, and God wants to take that out.
Sure.
You understand? Cool. Any questions? Any more questions? Cool. Okay. Let me close in prayer. Oh, thank you, Lord, for today. Thank you for your mercy. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for just giving us this opportunity to come study your word. A difficult topic, but I pray and I hope that we've all got something from it. I hope that it also helps direct our footsteps in our life. Help us to examine the way that different ways that we do things and create things that are not of you, that oppose your world. Help us to be able to limit those things in ourselves, in the mighty name of Jesus. Help us to be able to apply all the things that we've read and retain all the knowledge, in the mighty name of Jesus. We thank you. We give you all the glory. We just pray for a good, successful, great weekend, and we come back again in a few weeks' time to come study more and learn more from your feet, from your word. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Cool.
Amen.
All right. I'm gonna end the broadcast.
All right. Good night, everyone.